I'm sure you're feeling good after a Cardinals win. I'm sure you're excited about the Sun season starting. I'm sure there's plenty of thoughts on your mind. So if you want to join the conversation at any point, 602-260-1060 is the phone number for you to join the show. And we are going to be extremely focused today on the Cardinals and their win on Monday Night Football against the Chargers on a go-ahead field goal to win 17-15 and play a game I didn't think was in the cards for them, no pun intended. I did not think that they were going to be able to play the way the Chargers wanted to play. I didn't think their defense was going to be able to hold up. Not like the Chargers are a team that blow other teams out and they run up the score. I just didn't think that the Cardinals would be able to keep the game close enough and be within one score for most of the game to where they could still play their style of football. Yet they were able to do so, and it wasn't pretty at times. There were missed opportunities all over the place. But at the end of the day, the Cardinals get out of town with a victory. They move to 3-4 on the season. And that begs the question of what is next for the Arizona Cardinals. And I tweeted last night, and you can always follow me on Twitter and interact with me at Chris Schubert _. But I tweeted after the game, that's a win that helps you reestablish belief in the coaching staff. The playoff race is back in play. And it's truly how I feel. There is a massive difference between how we would feel about this team. Close loss, blowout loss, however it would have felt. It would feel different if they lost and fell to 2-5 than them winning last night the way they did, getting to 3-4. We would be having a conversation about the season being over. We would probably be asking questions about coaching changes needing to be made. The talks of being a seller would have come into play. All of those conversations would pop up when you're 2-5. You're not going anywhere at 2-5, right? I mean, look at the standings in the NFL right now and look at the teams that are 2-5 or worse. And you tell me if you have any belief in these teams doing anything. The 2-5 or worse teams in the NFC, the Saints, the Giants, and the Panthers. Does anybody believe that those three teams are going anywhere? No, the Saints have an injured quarterback. They're not going anywhere. The Giants, who knows if their coach and GM are going to be back next year, and the Panthers are a mess. In the AFC, 2-5 or worse. Raiders 2-5. Jets 2-5. Jags 2-5. Titans 1-5. Browns 1-6. Patriots 1-6. Those teams aren't going anywhere. There is a difference between being 3-4 and 2-5. And what got put on the table last night by winning that game and getting to 3-4, moving one step closer to being a 500 football team, is I think you have absolutely put the playoffs back in play. You have absolutely put a chance to be a playoff contender, to be on those graphics late in the season where you're playing meaningful football in December. This team didn't play meaningful football in December last year. This team was a team in transition last year, a team that needed to rebuild, and they're a team that is still in transition this year, but they're supposed to take a step forward. They're supposed to win more games than they did last year. And I think there are moments and pockets where we feel like they are going to reach those expectations. And last night, they played a style of football that was conducive to winning. They won the turnover battle. They ran the football the way they wanted to. They were able to play their style of football. They limited the penalties, only 3 penalties. That's the type of stuff they need to do on a regular basis if they are going to go on a run. But I think a run is possible because of what they showed me last night. And the other reason why a playoff race is back on the table, have you seen the state of the NFC West right now? The Seahawks are in first place at 4-3. You are 1 game back of them. You have the same record as the San Francisco 49ers, and you currently have the tiebreaker over them because you beat them earlier in the year. One of your 3 wins is against them. The other team in your division is the Rams, 2-4. And oh, by the way, let me just make sure that my stats are correct here. Yep, no, you beat them too. You haven't played the easiest part of your schedule yet if you're the Cardinals. I think that stretch is coming up here. You haven't played Seattle yet. You have 2 games against them. Everything is still in front of this team. Now, before the year, if you would have told me that the Cardinals could have competed for the NFC West, I would have laughed you out of the building. But context matters. The Seahawks are 4-3, and they've looked good, but they've also looked terrible. The 49ers are banged up. Brendan Ayuk out for the year. George Kittle dealing with an injury. Deebo Samuel has pneumonia. They don't know when he's going to be able to come back. This team is just, every so often, the 49ers have a year where the injury bug just hits them in a big way, and they don't meet the expectations that the outside NFL public has for them. This might be that year. So the division is on the table. Now, not because of you playing out of your mind, but because the division maybe isn't as strong as we thought it was going to be. I don't care. Division titles all count the same. Playoff berths all count the same. And that can absolutely be put on the table. You play the Dolphins in Miami next week. Tua should return to the lineup for the Dolphins, or at least is trending that way. You don't know what that team is going to look like in his first game back. You then play the Bears, who have been impressive. You play the Jets, who have not been impressive. And then you start a stretch where you play Seahawks, at Vikings, home against the Seahawks. So you have the next 3 weeks to try to maybe surprise again. Pick off a win or two against Dolphins, Bears, and Jets, and go into a series of games where you play the Seahawks twice and show that you belong. Show that you're a team that's going to be in this race in December. And after watching this team last night, I have no reason to think that they can't be in this race. They're around a 500 football team. If the breaks go their way, they can be above 500. If the breaks don't go their way, or they have self-inflicted mistakes, then they will be below 500. And guess what? They're 3-4, and a lot of their losses you can point to self-inflicted mistakes that led to them getting blown out by the Packers, to them blowing a lead that they had in the first week of the season against the Bills. And so I know we did off the fence last week, and I said not a playoff team. But I'm putting it back on the table. I don't know if we're allowed to do that, but I'm going to do it anyway. I'm going to put it back on the table for this team in 2024 because I'm the person who put out some social media content last week saying this matchup was terrible for the Cardinals. They are not going to win this football game. I made it one of my Schubert 6 selections where I picked the Chargers, giving to 2.5. So I'm the person that, to anybody that's listening, however you may be listening, I said into this microphone that I didn't think they could make the playoffs. I didn't think they were going to win this game, and I thought they were going to drop 2-5. Boy, was I wrong. This team impressed me last night. And again, it's not pretty. It was not the run and gun up and down the field, score 28 to 35 points that I think we should expect from this team when everything is operating correctly with the talent that they have offensively. It wasn't that. But they did something I didn't think was in their DNA, and that's winning the gritty ones. I think a lot of us thought if the Cardinals were going to win football games with a defense that was still coming along, that was still acquiring talent, that it was going to be a lot of high-scoring affairs, that they had the offense to score. They had the offense to put up 27 to 35 points a game. And if you get into those track meets with opposing teams, sometimes you'll win, sometimes you'll lose, but we believed that they could put up enough points to do that. What I didn't think this team could do was win that game last night. I didn't think they could be gritty. I didn't think they could out-physical another team. I certainly didn't think they could out-physical potentially the most physical team in the NFL from an identity perspective, from the way their coach wants them to play, from the way they have played this year. Not to say the Chargers are one of the best teams in football, but in terms of identity, the way that they play did not match up well. Yet the Cardinals didn't care that they didn't match up well. They went out there and they out-physicaled the Los Angeles Chargers. They showed that they were the team that had the better running game. They showed that they were the team that was better equipped to stop the run on that night. And so the recipe that we applied for the Chargers to beating the Cardinals flipped the script. They took what the Chargers were good at and they said, we're going to do it and we're going to do it better. And that is exactly what they did last night. That is a gritty, tough, culture-defining win, in my opinion. And so when you have a win like that, when you have a win that is counter to the identity that we have associated with you, when you have a win that is culture-defining the way I think that win was last night, that changes expectations. That changes the way we feel about a team. I feel that they can play against any team within reason and bring that grittiness bring that toughness, bring their winning culture that they are starting to develop, and be able to battle for 4 quarters. Now, what will show us if this is a long-term thing is the consistency in which they can do it. I don't want to say it's easy to do it once, but doing it once isn't a large enough sample size to believe everything has turned upside down. I think they are trending in the right direction after a win last night. I believe there's an opportunity in front of them to build off of this and to get us to buy in even more. I'll tell you this, Dolphins, Bears, Jets, the next 3, you find a way to go 2-1 in that stretch. You get to 5-5 after 10 games. I think there's going to be a lot of talk of, can this team make a run? Can this team stay in the mix? And again, the mark of success this year for the Cardinals should be playing meaningful football in December with playoff berths on the line. Doesn't mean they have to make the playoffs. Doesn't mean it would be a disappointment if they don't make the playoffs. I think we would be disappointed if they don't make the playoffs, if they were playing meaningful football in December. But playing meaningful football in December and learning how to win and learning how to compete in those environments would be great for the long-term health of this team. What fans, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, 602-260-1060, but I think fans, people like me who watch this team, I just want to see a team that is competitive late the season. That is the step in the right direction. To me, last night's win pushes us towards that end goal. Last night's gritty, tough, culture-defining win, I think, puts us on a path, puts us and gives the Cardinals a roadmap to playing those competitive games in December. And if they do that, I think we would have further belief in the head coach, further belief in the quarterback, further belief in the front office to give them another offseason to continue to add to this football team so that maybe next year is that huge next step to making a playoff run. And so maybe it's just surprise out of my voice because I didn't expect them to win last night that I am so the complete opposite from where I was last week. But I thought that was a defining moment of the season for the Cardinals last night with what they were able to do.